So before caring about the environment, care about the people that live in that environment, and you will see how naturally they will start caring about that place. So, and this is how we really look at our engagement with the community.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Social Hotelier podcast with me, Sam Erik Ruttman. Have you ever dreamed of starting your own hotel brand or even a hotel management company? There are a number of entrepreneurs that have this dream. Even I had a dream at one time in my life, but usually we fall short of one thing. We just don't get the funding needed to take it to the next level. But I have someone here in this podcast today who has able to move forward, and actually he's going up for success with a very interesting brand. So my guest today is Chris Nader, co-founder of ENVI Lodges. So Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. It's really a pleasure being here. I listen to many of your podcasts, and I'm glad to be a guest today.
Well, I was so happy that you had the time and that we can make this happen. So I know there are so many things that we can talk about in this episode and about your journey. And I think it will be inspiring for the listeners who are in the similar journey that we have been or want to be. So, well, let's get started. I think first, for the benefit of the audience, to get some background, tell me about your professional journey and what you've been going through until you then started co-founding the ENVI Lodges.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first, you said something really important at the beginning, is that many have a dream and in this space and few manage to achieve it. Well, I must say we're on a journey to achieving it. We haven't achieved it yet. We're at the early stages, but we had so far, good traction and good successes. So it's a promising kind of road towards realizing the dream. It all started really, to be able to tell you about my professional life, I have to take you back to a little bit to my childhood. The family that I grew up in are all kind of entrepreneurs. They're all hotelier and tourism professionals. And the family owned a business in tourism, which is managing a beach and yacht club. So my childhood really was spent at the family business. I requested to work in the business at quite a young age, because after spending a few summers on the beach having fun, I got really attracted by how this whole business is working. And at the age of 13, I asked if I could start taking, a part in this adventure with the family. And, very illegally, they said yes. And I started working as a first job in the kitchen of our beach club, quite a beach club, quite a big one with yachts, etc. I was helping with the orders in the kitchen. I was making sure that every tray that comes out of the kitchen had the right order, that the presentation of the dishes were correct, etc. And then I got promoted to a cashier role, so I started getting interested in the accounting side of it. But it was more, really, to be honest, it was more about, playing with that machine at that time that has, these all kind of POS systems that had very little technology associated with them. And from there, I took some other roles of beach boy, setting up the sunbeds and the towels, and I did some, activities and, sports-related kind of small jobs. And I loved serving people, being close to people, creating these, experiences that are unique, trying to please people, see their smile. And it's not always easy, especially on weekends, the beach is full and, people complain and this doesn't go according to plan. But it's something that I loved. At the right time, when I was about to choose my university, I said, I want to work in hospitality. And the family said, absolutely not. I said, why not? You're all in hospitality. What's wrong? And they said, look, it's a very tough industry. Salaries are not good. When everyone's on holidays, you're working. It's not a life, go do something a bit more corporate, go, And I was like, sitting in an office sounds so boring. Why? I want to be in operation. I love what you guys do. At some point, we sold the business. My older brother opened his own company, which is a management company of F&B, creating F&B concepts and running it, and beach clubs, etc. So he kind of stayed in the same space, and I was lucky enough to work for him. So again, working for the family again. He was extremely tough on me, extremely tough as his brother. He wanted to set an example. So also I took several F&B positions at that time, bar, club, restaurant, beach, etc. And finally, when I reached an age and financially I could decide what I wanted to do after trying several things, I decided that I wanted to do my MBA in hospitality, and then I went to do it in Switzerland. And after that, I had the opportunity to work with different brands. And I was always attracted to something that was small, niche, unique, different. And I guess it comes a little bit from that background of how I grew up and the type of operation I was used to and what I like doing. And I had my career in small to medium groups. And during that time, I never thought that I would actually become an entrepreneur and launch my own company. It came almost accidentally. It's not something that I planned. A sequence of events led to me started thinking about what I wanted to do in my career, and COVID came at the right time for me, despite all the misery that it created. For me personally, it was kind of a blessing because it allowed me just to stop. It allowed me to I was going through a hectic life. I was traveling a lot for work. I was always on a plane going back and forth. And you get into this machine and it's very difficult for people to say, well, stop. Is this what I wanted to do? Is there something else that I would like to do? Many people love it and continue in this career. But, I stepped back a little bit, started thinking about what I want to do as a person, what company I want to be associated with, what are the values that I want to actually have in my company. And since I was always attracted to hospitality and tourism, for me, it was, okay, what's the future of tourism? Where is this going? What are the trends that are shifting the market? Where is the accommodation space and experience space going? And COVID added an important element. For the past 10, 15 years, there was this trend about experiential travel and developing responsibly in nature and all of that. But COVID, I think, allowed everyone to start realizing that actually this is where we want to be. This is where we feel, good as a person. And these are the type of environment that we want to experience. So when you put all these ingredients together, this is how ENVI Lodges was born. And it was really overnight that I decided, look, I don't want to do a corporate job anymore. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start working on it. And, one thing led to another. I started, thinking about the idea and the business plan. Then I brought the idea to my co-founder, Noel, who was working at a consulting firm. And I said, this is what I want to do. I think both of us would work great together. Are you interested? She said, yes, please. I love it. And we started creating the brand together. And this is how really it started.
In what way did it help you that you grew up in the environment in the hospitality, if you will, the service side of things, where you, because I can relate to what you're talking about, that you want to serve people. In the Finnish culture, it doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound very well when you said that you're serving some, because here in this culture is that you are below somebody. And I never took it as that I'm below anyone. I'm just want to make them happy. That was basically naively thinking what I did. So how was it for you?
Yeah, it was very similar. First of all, I grew up in an environment that came out of a civil war for many years. So I was not exposed to understanding how businesses are set up, how, corporations work. At that time, technology was inexistent, communication was limited. And all I knew is what actually we had as a business. And for me, it was seeing the smile on people's faces when they're somewhere chatting together, socializing, enjoying their time, and thinking, well, we are giving them the ingredients for them to actually have fun and enjoy their moment. And it became for me really something, kind of obvious that if I had the chance to choose what I wanted to do, it would be to continue to put smile on people's faces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sharing actually the same feeling like you, because when I started my career, I want to I didn't see it as a job. One of the things that reminds me is that a good friend of mine, whom I have once in a while episodes, we talk about why we got into this industry. And my friend Mark, he says he liked good food and traveling. Okay, I also like good food, but I also like to be in an environment where people actually came for a good time, and I enjoy watching them and kind of learning from them what makes their life pleasurable for the moment they are in a hotel or somewhere else. And so I kind of soaked in these kind of vibes from these people, and I thought, well, this is something I like, that atmosphere, and I like to continue do. And then when my career evolved to doing different things, essentially it was still the same feeling I had from the moment when I even was serving flamed coffees or checking in people or whatever I was doing. I still had that same inspiration why I did it, not because of looking for a big tip or something. I think the smile was the tip I was always looking for.
Yeah, no, 100%. But again, as you grow up and you start experiencing brands and hotels, I used to spend about 180, 190 days away, sleeping in hotels most of the time. There are obviously hotels that are completely commoditized, where, no matter how hard you try, it's difficult to put a smile on someone, on your guest's face, because, they don't want to talk to anyone. All they care about is just, check me in, get me to my room. I have to go to my meeting. I come back, I shower, I sleep, and I leave. No matter how smiley the receptionist is, it really doesn't work. And then you have the other extreme, where these brands and individual hotels who have developed their concept and their identity completely around providing an experience. And I found this fascinating when I was growing up, to see how they're able to achieve this and why the others are not. And it has to do with many factors: type of business you attract, the environment in which you are. Are you in a tall tower, or are you in a boutique resort in Provence on next to vineyards? And many things affect that. But at the end of the day, what I wanted to do with my company is to really create a brand that does offer this smile generally, by just allowing people to be in an environment that gives them that smile naturally, without you really forcing anything onto them.
Yeah. So it means that there's a culture that you have developed with Noel and the team for ENVI Lodges, which is basically essentially that spirit where you came from then.
Yeah, for sure. And we're lucky enough with the company to have access to unique sites in nature, to be in amazing sites where someone wakes up, gets out of their tent and sees this amazing view of the valley or whatever it is, or you're on the beach. We just announced a project in Oman where we're going to have tents on an amazing beach, virgin beach. You have turtles and dolphins and all of that. So being able to offer these experiences to our guests by having good service, good food, sustainable values, and this opportunity to be in that environment, which is not given to many people, I think this is really what we would like to achieve.
Yeah. Being an entrepreneur is a different thing than working for somebody. What are the main attributes you need to have as an entrepreneur? What are the hard lessons you have learned from the time you started?
All right. Look, I listen to many podcasts about entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs, and usually these guys have already 10, 15, 20 years of experience being an entrepreneur. They sold already 2 or 3 businesses. They're multimillionaires and happy, and they tell you about their stories. We're at the very early of our story. We're only 2 years old, 2 years and a half old. So I can't pretend to have the truth and the answers to everything. But so far, in the short period of time, we learned valuable lessons. Noel, myself, Paul, our head of operation, are all kind of started the company from scratch. We are all first-time entrepreneurs, so it's something that we all had to learn as we go. And I think the number one, I guess, virtue that you should have, because these are virtues from the Stoics, is really the courage. Okay, if you go a little bit funny, you'll say you have to be crazy to do it. You need courage because you said something at the beginning. Many people have dreams, and you said some people are not able to raise money. Well, the fact that they're not able to raise money means they already thought of the dreams. They had the courage to actually say, let me try it. They put a business plan together. They went on to the investment community, and unfortunately, did they raise money. Already, this required a lot of courage. And this is really amazing that you have reached that stage, because obviously many people fail to raise funds, as you said. But many people just keep it as a dream. Says, oh, I would love to do this. But then they don't have time because their hectic life, because they don't want to take the risk, because of their personal situation, because of the pressure they have at work, because of so many different factors, it stays up there. And I think the first thing that you should have is the courage to say, I want to do this. I want to try it. Yes, there are risks associated with it, but I might regret my entire life if I haven't at least tried to reach to that fundraising stage. And I failed, and it's fine, but at least I tried and I have no regrets. For me, it was courage, because as a person, I'm someone who jumps into things and then plans on how to achieve it. Many people plan a lot and then decide if they want to jump. And no, I jump first and then I see, what do I do? How do I swim? How do I reach the shore? I'll figure it out as we go. Maybe I'll face big waves and I'll drown a bit and I stand up again and I continue swimming. But it's really about, let's figure it out as we go. So jumping was the first kind of step.
Yeah, I have learned from my personal experience that unless it's totally out of what I believe in, I usually say yes, because I know I will figure out how to do something later on. And it has evolved in many ways that I do different things that I never thought about doing. But I've never been afraid to jump into the unknown or going to a place I've never been to. And that makes sort of something anytime I look back, when people say, oh, amazing career, you've been traveling all over the world. But I just say that I was so curious. Curiosity was maybe the biggest reason I did what I did. And I think you must also have that curiosity and to see what's behind the next door, if you will.
True. No, absolutely. And I was also, very lucky to have Noel jump with me. Although Noel is my opposite, and this is great in terms of finding a balance with your co-founder. She likes to plan everything, and then moves forward. So I think we find there's a nice balance between the two of us, and both of us jumped. But once you jump, the second thing that you need, in my opinion, is discipline. Yeah. Discipline in the sense of perseverance, discipline in the sense of, not diverting from what you're meant to do, trying to avoid the distractions that can come with being an entrepreneur. There is a lot of focus that has to remain in achieving your vision and staying on the road. And when you jump, there are so many things that can go wrong that, you start diverting left, right, and center. So the discipline to continue going, the discipline to actually stay focused and control your emotions, control the factors, the external factors that come to disrupt actually where you're supposed to do. That discipline is very difficult to acquire, and sometimes in moments of weakness, you lose that discipline, and it's either someone has to tell you to go back on track, or you have to realize it by yourself. But these are the two things that you need, and the discipline keeps you going, because it's very easy to give up. It's very easy to give up. The first obstacle you have, some people would say, "Oh, this is too hard. I don't want to do it. Let me go back to my corporate life." And these moments came numerous times. And sometimes you're awake all night thinking, "Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I punishing myself?" I had a comfortable life. I knew what was happening. I had no financial worries. It was kind of I was okay. And these moments of weakness are frequent, and maybe founders and entrepreneurs don't talk about it a lot, but at least on the many podcasts that I listen to, I think this is something that is coming up more and more. Is to say, look, it's difficult. You're gonna have moments of weakness. You're gonna want to abandon everything. Just drop all of that headache and change your remove that stress and go back to your life. And you always need someone to help you in that process.
Yeah, well, that is actually what I was going to say. That you must have somebody that you don't keep it inside yourself, everything of those emotions, but you can share it with somebody, because that will then you can actually resolve many issues that they're not as serious as you thought, and the emotions of feeling weak at the moment is natural for everyone. But I always believe that you have to have somebody who can share those moments with, that you can then resolve it in a way through talking or something. The worst thing is to keep it locked up inside your brain. That means you have many sleepless nights.
Yeah, 100%. Look, some people feel comfortable sharing this with their partner in life, with their family. Other people are kind of more like to keep things for themselves, to shield the family from the stress. There are pros and cons in both, depending on who you are as a person and how you deal with stress. But I think what you said, applies the most when you have a co-founder. And I think, Noel and I always encourage entrepreneurs who come and talk to us, say, "Look, well, what do you recommend we do?" I said, number one, find a co-founder, because sharing the stress, sharing the worries, having someone to listen to, to talk to, and the other person really being a good listener, giving you a different perspective. I think two people are always, I find founders that are two have a more balanced approach to their business than single founders.
Yeah. How do you see the journey that you're on? How does it impact your personal life?
Oh, should invite my wife to the podcast. Maybe she will.
I'm sure I can hear from her.
It affects your life quite a lot, and I have to warn aspiring entrepreneurs that, first of all, it depends on at which age they want to do this, at which stage of their life they're at. Do they have a family? Do they have children? What is their financial situation? Many things will determine how impacted your personal life will be. Mine was quite impacted on many fronts. I think the first one, on the family side, naturally you start putting your business first, because if you're doing this as your main purpose, not as a side hobby. Some people with a lot of money do many businesses on the side to have fun, but if this is your main bread and butter, your main business, you think that you cannot fail. You have to succeed, because this is what you want to do. And you put 300% into this thing that will actually allow you to realize your dream, and also hopefully financially will support your family. So you do it for yourself, for your own personal gratification and self-fulfillment, but you also do it to provide for your family eventually. And by giving all your time to your business, your family feels it, and it affects how you're spending quality time with them. Because unfortunately, even when you're with your family, your mind keeps thinking about your business. You're physically there, but mentally, you often wander away and wander off in different direction. So finding that balance is crucial, and I think this is the number one advice that I give also to people is that if you have a family, you have a partner, you have kids, this is the most important thing that you have. So please spend quality time with them. Make sure you give them your attention. Nothing is more important than the time you spend with your loved ones. And with my kids, I had to have the discipline of when I'm spending time with them, not to have my phone with me.
Yeah.
So I put it in one room and I play with them, because otherwise, at the beginning, I used to see myself taking my phone every 2 minutes, checking if there was an email, answering a WhatsApp message. And this is not how you want your kids to see you. Also, they won't, you have to live the moment.
They will copy you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I have a sentence here. I mentioned earlier that I have this calendar, which has for every day some inspiring words, and it says, today we are recording this in. Today, when we are recording, this has a. Yesterday was our habits decide our character. And for today, we have our character determines our destination. Does it resonate to you in any way?
Yeah, in the sense that as a person, I'm someone who likes challenges, who likes adventures, who likes to try things, and I like the adrenaline side. I've always been attracted to extreme sports and some dangerous sports. And when I was a kid, I used to be fascinated by everything that has to do with the extreme side, and that personality of daring and jumping and having the courage. I guess these are the personality traits that encouraged me to go on this adventure with all the risks that it takes. We're not saying that where we are today is it's promising, but we can still fail. There are still many obstacles along the way. We don't know which turn this is gonna take, but we're working very hard to make sure that we stay on track. And at the moment, we're very proud to say that from our growth plans, we are on track. We are getting ready to open our first few projects. We have more in the pipeline in negotiation. We're growing our team. We're receiving interest from investors because that space is fascinating for them. So it's promising, but still a long way ahead.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, you mentioned the word investors, so that means raising capital. So what is it like to raise capital in the current environment, or what is it like to just get the investor listening to you and with that, the pitch you give them and get them on your side and get things started?
When we decided to start raising funds from investors, it was the time where the tech world was booming. You would seeing crazy valuations on a PowerPoint idea. You would seeing hundreds of millions of dollars being raised in a blink of an eye for technology. During the COVID time, it was just unbelievable. So at that time we thought, it's going to be easy to raise money because everyone's raising money. But it was actually very specific for the tech world. And we're not a tech company, and I don't want to be a tech company. So we said, okay, let's try to raise money. And then we quickly realized that it's not about, the fact that you're a tech company or not. It's about the sustainability values and who we are as a company and what we represent in terms of communities, in terms of nature, in terms of the sexy product that we want to create. All of these points resonated with investors, and we're actually very blessed to be able to raise money quite rapidly, despite the fact we're not a tech company. So we saw that there was an interest in the investment community in that space. However, I must say that depending on where you are as a founder and where you are trying to raise money, things can look very different. I have a friend, a founder in Europe, who's trying to raise 100,000 euros for her startup. And where I am today, which is the GCC, we're based in Dubai, between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, $100,000 is the equivalent of raising maybe for investors. I mean, it's of maybe $10,000 somewhere else. These are not big ticket. $100,000 is easy to raise, but for some reason in Europe, it's a huge amount. And this founder struggles a lot in Europe to be able to raise money from European investors, especially given the current climate today with the inflation and the interest rates and all of that. They tighten the screws even more. But if you're trying to raise money from capital that is in different markets, like here in the Middle East, you have the right idea, you have the right team, you have the right network. You can raise money more easily than in other places.
Yeah. Are there, I've been in Dubai and Middle East for a while also, there are a number of like family offices that has a kind of long-term vision to investments. Are those the kind of offices that you're looking at to invest with, or what kind of investors are you talking with? Just to understand the different kinds of investors that are in the playfield.
Yeah, look, it depends on your company, of course, and who you are, and you attract a certain type of investors depending on what you're trying to raise for. I think for us, it was really from the beginning, it was very clear that what we wanted to do is raise money from high net worth individuals and family offices, because what we do is a long-term business. Hotel brand takes time. It takes someone who's here in it for the long term. It's not something it's not a technology you develop in a couple of months, then you have a minimum valuable product that you market and that you test and you start marketing, producing, you generated your money in 2-3 years, then investors can exit. This is more the profile of, the VCs out there, the big sharks that want to put a lot of money, but also eat your company and eat you with it. For us, developing lodges takes time, less than hotels, but still it takes time. Reaching stability in terms of operation and cash flows also takes time. We wanted to be a global brand from the beginning. Some companies start with one lodge somewhere, open it, run it for 3-4 years, and they see it successful, say, oh, let me add the second one. And then 3-4 years later, let me add a third one. We had the bold kind of idea to say, actually, no, we can start with 7-8 from the beginning, open them more or less within a certain period of time, and then grow more and more. So we needed investors that see this as a long-term business. So the profile of the investors you're trying to attract differs greatly depending on the industry in which you are and the company that you're trying to build.
How is it to raise funds in Europe? I mean, you have done some of that. How is it comparable to let's say GCC?
So raising funds for the project is quite interesting. It's a completely different way of doing things between the Middle East and Africa and Europe. It is more difficult to raise funds in Europe because you have to go through, in our business, to very specific families who care about the environment, who have access to unique sites that are often protected areas, whether they're forests or agricultural land. It takes patience, especially when many of those areas don't have a tourism kind of permit. So changing the usage of a land takes a lot of time in Europe. I mean, I have an example currently in France, where to get a certain land, you have to go speak to the mayor, and the mayor will tell you, well, can't change the zoning until I'm re-elected in 3 years, because otherwise it will look like I'm doing something wrong. Like, am I going to wait 3 years for you to be maybe re-elected and get that? It makes no sense. But the advantage you have in Europe is that the European Union and the various entities related to it from a financial standpoint offer many, many subsidies for ecotourism and eco projects. And it's really, they're just grants. They give you 2 millions here, 5 millions here, 3 millions here, because you're reaching certain levels of sustainability, because you're you're supporting the local communities, because you're building with a sense of place, you're using certain materials, your energy consumption is within their norms and all of that. So this is something that other parts of the world don't have. So that's an advantage. In the past, banks in Europe used to give you very attractive interest rates for these projects. Now it's getting more expensive, contrary to the Middle East, where debt was always more expensive than Europe. So you can see many projects in this part of the world that actually don't have debt. Some of the projects are pure cash equity from the investors. So quite different stories that we have to adapt every time we go to a new continent.
Of course. So for our listeners, there are some, my last count, about over 1,000 hotel brands in the world. And there are these legacy brands, there's the lifestyle brands, and of course there are certain brands that are owned by the usual suspects, the large corporate who want to see a new opportunity for business, so they create a brand or they buy another brand. Could you speak a little bit about the DNA of ENVI Lodges and how you stand out compared to those big players who have 45 brands and they just kind of dish them out as according to what people are looking for?
Yeah, it goes back a little bit also to the earlier comment we made about commoditizing accommodation versus providing experiences, being standard versus being lifestyle, being a business hotel versus leisure. But even within those kind of bubbles, it was very rare actually to find a brand that really stands out. You only had very few of them, and I was always attracted to them because really you can see they have a strong DNA and strong positioning. Recently, there has been really an acceleration in the lifestyle kind of hotels, and I'm using the word not in the generic sense that everyone thinks they're a lifestyle hotel, but there is today one group specifically who understood how to deliver a certain experience and lifestyle within their hotels, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. But for us, it wasn't about reinventing the wheel, right? Our main inspiration what the safari tents, what the safari experiences, on how in Africa they were able to offer these immersive experiences where people are in nature, nature is inside their tent, and while still offering luxury amenities, comfort, and being sustainable, being very responsible of their operation. So, through one or two experiences and discussions, and I experienced something similar in Switzerland 12 years ago, and then we had something here in the UAE, we realized that, wait a minute, why is this limited to the game and safari field? Why aren't we able to export this more rapidly around the world? Because today, guests, this is how they want to go on their holidays. This is how they want to experience a certain culture, a certain environment, being immersed in that environment while being also responsible in their travel. They want to know that this brand is operating responsibly, is building responsibly. So for us, there was a opportunity to tap into the market that is completely untapped. There are very, very few groups like us today out there who are focusing solely on the space. And the more we discover these groups, the more we get excited. We love having more brands like us coming into the market because this should be the future. We should stop building concrete jungles and be more responsible when we're in outside urban environment. So for us, it was just bringing all these ingredients together and saying, okay, we want to develop this type of eco-lodge management company and brand that can be in a desert, on the mountain, in a forest, on a farm, on the beach, that offers, tented products, that offers modular kind of cabins and construction methods that are low impact, or very alternative kind of pods, tree houses, etc. And we don't want to be in the safari space because actually the world needs this everywhere. So let's do an agritourism experience. Let's do an adventure experience. Let's do an environmental experience. Let's do wellness-related retreats. So this is really how it all started. And you can clearly see both the investors and the potential guests, because we haven't opened yet, and the potential guests, how immediately they connected with us, with the brand. The type of messages we receive on LinkedIn, the type of messages we receive on Instagram, the number of CVs we receive of people wanting to work with such a brand. And it's really heartwarming. And I think, it's really promising for us to know that the moment we start opening, we're going to be able to attract a certain community of people that think like us and really can't wait for us to open our first few lodges.
So we're looking at getting the ENVI Lodge junkies developed in the future. So you have that crew who follow you wherever you open a new property.
We hope so. We have some amazing brands managed to create that, and we look up to them. And hopefully we can do our own journey by having this community supporting us as well.
You're just in the beginning of your development or your journey with the different properties. Who do you see are the travelers who will be staying with you? I mean, there are certain brands who developed the African safari experience. Their main market came from US. But where do you see your customers traveling from?
Yeah, we believe that a brand like ours offers experiences and properties that everyone wants to, go to and experience. We believe that from a leisure standpoint, hopefully more and more brands like us, and there are some existing ones today, should be the go-to brand when it comes to going on holidays, going, in nature, etc. We believe that depending on where you are, it's going to be always an international clientele. There's no age difference. There is no, whether you're a family or a couple, whether you're at your corporate retreat, whether it's your wellness retreat with, we really cater to everyone. Now, of course, not at every price point. Within ENVI, we segmented the brand to target 3 positionings, and each positioning is defined by what we call a ring. So we have single ring lodges, double ring lodges, and triple ring lodges. Each ring defines the size of the facilities, the number of the facilities, the various experiences that you can find, and also because of how we want to position it, the investment in the project and the room rate that we're going to charge will evolve according to the ring. We're still in the luxury space. Luxury for us is a completely different than luxury from the big boys that we see luxury completely differently. But if you look at room rate, we are in the luxury space. So we attract people who can afford, $400 or $500 up to $1,000 kind of experience. But also there's a huge opportunity for the others to do the same in the lower space as well. And you have some great brands in the US and elsewhere who are doing it.
Yeah. I don't know if this topic will fit into what you're doing, but technology. Technology has evolved quite a bit in the industry, and hotels have. When we're talking about sort of the hotel structures, they have their self check-ins and have a lot of apps and so on to provide the service to the customers and so on. In fact, it has a meaning becoming less of a human contact. What is your take on from one extreme where hotel companies did not want to get any technology, they resisted it, and they're behind the curve, and now COVID came, and now suddenly we have every single kind of technology that is available to the point that we don't talk to a person anymore, but it's an automated app or a bot who gives you the standard text that you didn't want to hear, but it's anyway there. What is your, give me your heartfelt feeling about this?
Look, I think 95% of the people that you interview would say, oh yeah, technology for us is very important. We're looking at AI and doing this, we're doing that, and this technology, and everything would be robot, and this is great. And there are some companies trying to see how much technology can replace actually humans at all levels of the organization in a hotel. It's quite interesting, and I think there is this. People feel the pressure to say, I'm embracing technology and this is great. We use technology where it's efficient for our business, either for distribution, or really to facilitate communication within our employees, between the guests with our employees, etc. But we're not, as I said at the beginning, we're not a tech-driven company. We live so much in a tech-driven world that when I go on holidays with my family or with my friends, I want to disconnect from that technological world. When I'm in nature, I want to disconnect from my phone. I want to go on my yoga class in the morning. I want to do my walk in the afternoon. I want to see the sunset with the dolphin on a boat. I want to read a book, just be in my plunge pool and enjoy the environment, listen to animals. I want to speak to the local communities, learn something. And all of this, how we operate in our lodges. And don't forget, we're not on a 1,000 square meter plot. We're on 200, 300, 1 million square meter plots. You need our employees to be present. You need to help guests integrate with the local communities. They need to know that our hosts are there to actually help them, to explain things. You want to have that human interaction. So we use technology smartly, but we want people to disconnect from it when they come to an ENVI Lodge.
Yeah, I mean, that's I can see that that's basically what people are more and more getting. They want to have a holiday where they can disconnect from that technology. I remember a few holidays where I was on the phone all the time rather than enjoying my holiday, and I heard about it from the family quite often, and I have some regrets about it for the rest of my life, believe me. But I was just thinking then, the technology should be kind of a smart technology that serves the purpose rather than being a self-fulfillment that you have that. You mentioned the word community. How do you embrace the community in that area? Let's say you're going to be in Oman or in other areas. What is the community involvement to provide in a way they're providing an experience for the guests who are staying in that area where you have your lodges?
Yeah, look, we are currently starting the pre-opening of a few of our lodges. So these conversations have started. We are already looking, for instance, in our project in Zanzibar on how to buy certain products and OS&E elements from the local community. We identified a few organizations that do certain items that we would like to buy from them, some bathroom amenities that are organic, done by locals. We look at different also local businesses in terms of recycling, in terms of providing some solutions, working with local farmers. So all of these get developed depending on the location where we are. In Oman, working with local tour guides to take you through the amazing sites of Jabal Akhdar, for instance, where we signed a project there. So it's giving priority to the locals around us to give them opportunities to work, to buy products from them, and of course also to hire as much as possible in our lodge. Because at the end of the day, if you want to really discover the culture of a country or the culture of even the place where you are at the lodge, you need to interact with the locals, and you can't have foreign staff everywhere. Otherwise, you're completely, disconnected from it. So having, a farmer telling you about, stories about the local guide, etc. These are the things that we would like to bring as much as possible. And then we have also different initiatives where we want to improve the life of the local communities where we work. We have some programs for a kids project in Oman that we will be contributing to. We're doing something also similar in Zanzibar, which, it's a beautiful island. Some of the resorts are extremely beautiful and expensive and nice, but then, people, live in a certain poverty that is quite shocking to many tourists who come, and we need to be able to support these people where we are. So the community element is important, and we think for ENVI, we think community comes before the environment. I'll tell you why. it's someone told me also this 2 years ago, and at the beginning it took time for me to accept it, and I realized he was true. A very wise person in Egypt, a businessman, and he said, if you don't look after the people who live on the land, if they're hungry, if they don't want to feed their kids, then they're going to try to abuse from that environment as much as possible. If you have fishermen who need to eat, they're going to fish any fish that comes. Doesn't matter if it's an endangered species or not. They need to feed their kid. If they need to cut the trees because they want to, take the wood to build something or to burn it for, they're not going to care about the environment because it's about survival. So before caring about the environment, care about the people that live in that environment, and you will see how naturally they will start caring about that place. So, and this is how we really look at our engagement with the community.
Yeah, I mean, I changed my, I always had sort of a definition of hospitality. I always thought about this and I asked people what their definition of hospitality is. And really my definition of hospitality is community. It used to be customer is king. Well, that's when I started as a receptionist 100 years ago, but now it's community.
Yeah, I mean, that's hospitality has evolved so much over the last 30 years, and I think even these types of training methods about the customer is king has evolved, and today people choose a brand, choose a company because of what they represent, how they treat their employees, how they treat the local communities, how they treat the environment, and they don't want you to treat them as kings all the time. They want you to treat the environment in which you are as the king. You, at the end of the day, you're a guest on this land, and you have to behave in an ethical way. And I think this is why people will start choosing more and more brands like us and others that exist out there, which are doing extremely well. And I'm so happy to see this movement increasing year on year.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm really happy for you that I think you had, I think timing has been on your side in many ways. And then also I think people, the way of thinking, I think in one way the COVID was a little bit of a shock in people's system, but people forget very easily. But the time when the COVID started, when things got very quiet, but also you want to have this kind of a after COVID, what we call it a revenge travel. They want to travel to faraway places and experience things that they never experienced before. So I think that fits in many ways the kind of experience that ENVI Lodges can provide, and the other brands who are providing these unique places, and that people can appreciate, and also the kind of way give back to that community that lives here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. However, I must say I'm a bit worried about people's ability to quickly forget. And I think after spending 2 years in lockdown and people realizing how nature is important and sustainability and wellness and the impact that we're doing on the environment, we're in 2023 going into 2024, and you can see already some of the old habits coming back very rapidly, in terms of construction, in terms of pollution, of the industrial, the promises that the world leaders have set in terms of climate change have already shifted very rapidly within 2 years. There was this date achieving that. Now it's a date 10 years later achieving less. And then it keeps, changing. And there are some factors beyond our control that affect this. There's economic realities, political realities, and all of that. But that's why I say, if more hospitality professionals and companies focus on what we're trying to achieve, I think it will keep reminding people of how important nature is, and how to live these unique experiences, and how to discover other communities and increase tolerance and well-being. I think these are all important elements that we need to promote. Encouraging aspiring entrepreneurs to join us on this journey.
Very good, Chris. I think that's a good. We can end this episode on this high note. Now, if people who are interested to learn more about ENVI Lodges, where can they find you, and where can they find ENVI Lodges digitally?
We're quite active on LinkedIn. Some people say too much, too active, but you can easily find us, myself and Noel, on LinkedIn. We answer many messages. We're present there. There's our Instagram account for ENVI Lodges, and please feel free to reach out if you have questions. And we'd love to start welcoming you in our lodges at the end of next year.
Very good, Chris. Thank you very much. And also for all the viewers and listeners, when you reach out to ENVI Lodges, please put tag the social hotelier in that message, so then we know that where you heard about ENVI Lodges.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam Eric, for this lovely chat. I really enjoyed it.